With tears, the father of the boy said, "I do believe, help my unbelief." Before the man in today's gospel said this, he left the crowd and went to Jesus' disciples so they can heal his son. Unfortunately, they were not able to heal him. By going to Jesus, the father showed great courage and faith. He showed courage by stepping away from the crowd and by approaching the disciples. He also showed faith by humbly asking them to heal his son. Unfortunately, his courage and faith quickly led to disappointment. The man could have easily walked away upset. Also, he could have become cynical and criticized everything Jesus and his disciples were doing. He could have told everyone that Jesus and his disciples were a bunch of fakes, and to prove it, he could have shown them his sick son, whom they could not heal. However, and this is the crucial part of this gospel, in addition to courage and faith, the man also showed humility and faith, and then he showed patience and faith, and throughout the whole process, he showed great persistence and faith. So instead of walking away from the disciples disappointed, he walked to Jesus with a renewed faith that was humble, patient, and persistent. He showed that faith on its own, without courage, without humility, without patience, and without persistence, is really not faith at all. We sometimes expect God to answer our prayers immediately and in the exact ways that we want them. Unfortunately, or perhaps fortunately, God is not a soda machine, nor is God our personal chef. If God were a Coke or a Pepsi machine, then our interaction with him would be very clear and would be very easy. All we would have to do is put in a few coins, press the right button, and what we want would immediately come down. If God were our personal chef, we would get everything we want in the way we want it, in the quantity we want it, and, of course, and more importantly, at the speed that we want it, which is always right now. Unfortunately, God is neither a Coke or a Pepsi machine, nor is God our personal Gordon Ramsay or Wolfgang Puck. In the Gospels, if you note, not only in today's Gospels, but throughout the Gospels, Jesus tends to ask many questions. In fact, he often responds to a question with another question. Jesus does not do this because he needs to know, but because he wants to remind the person who is asking the question why he is asking the question, and also he wants to know that they are clear in what they are asking and what they want to be resolved. Although Jesus knew the boy had been sick all his life, in today's gospel, he nonetheless asks, "How long has he had this?" The father answers, "From childhood." Note that by asking this question, Jesus reminds both the man and the whole crowd that this is a sickness the boy had had all his life. Therefore, it was not just a temporary thing that he was feeling that morning and that Jesus happened to heal him from it. Therefore, it becomes clear to everyone who is listening that the boy and the father have been suffering a very long time. The second part of the man's response is also important. He tells Jesus, "If you can do anything, have pity on us and help us." Jesus responds to the man, and in so doing, Jesus is also speaking to the crowd and to all of us when he says, "If you can," all things are possible for those who believe. The man finally says, I believe, help my unbelief. Let us not forget that this dialogue took place in front of a very large crowd that must have been very interested to see what was going on, and perhaps they were getting very impatient with this dialogue and waiting for the real action of the miracle. As all the eyes were fixed on Jesus, the man and his son, Jesus then turns to the boy and heals him. Only when he was able to get their attention and that they were able to be clear on what the problem was. This dialogue between Jesus and the man shows the crowd and all of us the man's faith. And it also reminds us that faith is not just an emotion. It is not possible to have faith without all these aspects that are demonstrated by the man in today's gospel. That is this element of courage, of humility, of patience, and of course, persistence. We are quickly approaching Easter. In only 2 weeks, we will be celebrating Palm Sunday. And I hope this time of fasting is helping you grow in your faith by giving up some kind of food or some other things you like, and by, of course, doing some sort of acts of charity. Let us remind ourselves that fasting is meant to slow us down in the things of this world and all the things that we tend to value, in order for us to become more successful and set as higher priorities the things of God. If we cannot control the physical part of our life by what we eat and what we drink, then how will we be able to control the spiritual part of our life by what we think and say? This is the heart and the core of this journey of Lent. Especially in a world that wants everything fast. Our faith teaches us to slow down because it does not help us if we are going fast, but then realize we're heading in the wrong direction. Fasting may make us tired, but we can learn about this man's faith by learning from the man's courage, his humility, his patience, and his persistence. Jesus did give the man what he wanted, but the man first showed Jesus and the crowd the strength of his faith. If we think of God as our personal soda machine or our personal chef, then we must question the kind of faith we have. Sometimes we confuse faith with a desire for convenience or comfort. As the man approached Jesus with courage, humility, patience, and persistence, we are all challenged to approach God in the exact same way. Jesus did give the man what he wanted, but the man first showed Jesus and the entire crowd the strength and persistence of his faith. We show that our faith is strong when we work to strengthen and renew our faith, not just once in a while, but every single day. We renew our faith when we strengthen our courage. We renew our faith when we strengthen our humility. We renew our faith when we strengthen our patience. And we renew our faith when we strengthen our persistence in God, who is our true strength. This is a perfect time of year to renew our faith by strengthening our courage, humility, patience, and persistence. We will find that when we do this, Easter will not only be a time to celebrate Jesus' death and resurrection from the dead, but we'll take this as a time to celebrate our own resurrection in so many ways. Our resurrection from fear to courage, our resurrection from pride to humility, our resurrection from impatience to patience, and our resurrection from laziness and disheartedness to persistence in the way of God. This growth will allow us to rejoice, first at how strong our faith is, and then how much stronger it can become when we have this kind of faith.